be back again.
Yeah, we missed you, Chris.
Oh, I'm sure. How many fun conversations did you guys have?
1.
2 without
2.
Chris.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like this summer, we've had 2 without Chris.
Only 2? It feels like much more.
It does feel really lonesome when you're gone, Chris.
I've never really left you, Matt. When you were in your hardest times, that's when I was carrying you.
Yeah. So like when I'm at the very nadir of making jokes.
The Ralph Nader of jokes. Oh, that was a pretty bad one.
Okay.
All right.
That was bad. I might have to carry you. Nope.
So,
should I leave? You guys can just carry each other.
So China news, Chris.
So I think we should start off today talking about office and bureau style.
Oh, man, that stuff is so dope. I love this new style.
Did you just say so dope?
I did. Is that an expression from the 90s?
You know, it's interesting. We were trying to make this new movement in communist China seem cringe, but then Matt just came in and out-cringed them all.
I
think it was
communist.
the so dope part
Yeah.
that really made it.
Yeah.
Hey, if we were 1980s cartoon show, do you know who Matt would be?
Who?
Cringer.
Oh, but he's kind of cute.
Cringer or Matt?
Cringer.
Fair. Tough, but fair. All right.
Yeah, so office and bureau style, it's this weird movement in China and where people are dressing like...
It's a fashion trend, but unlike most fashion trends, this one's for guys. Pretty much only guys, because Communist Party officials are like 95% men or something like that. So
How come there's not a big movement to make the party more equitable?
Because the China Feminist Association is actually controlled by the Chinese Communist Party and ensures that women do not seek real equality, and also does things like encourage women to get married by the age of 26 or they'll be leftover women. That's the Feminists Association.
no, it's actually the China's Women's Federation, but it is the Feminist Association.
So you're saying that what I said is right.
Well, I'm just saying the name of it is not the Feminist Association.
Okay.
But, well, there's one woman in the Politburo.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the one who gets assigned every time there's a COVID lockdown. She goes to the city and makes sure that it's a harsh enough COVID lockdown. Like whenever she comes to your city, you know that it's going to get worse, essentially. Like the lockdown's going to get harder.
Mama COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how she got stuck with that job, but it's not. Yeah, every time she comes, like she's in Chengdu right now, which means that the Chengdu lockdown which has now been extended twice from the initial. It's going to be 4 days. It's going to be 3 more days. It's extended again, and she just arrived in Chengdu this past week. So.
Well, you know, since we're already on COVID, let's just carry on with COVID.
Oh, you don't want to talk about Cadre Chic?
Cadre Chic?
Well, that's what I think we should call office and bureau style in English.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, so it's basically people trying to dress like Xi Jinping and other, soulless CCP bureaucrats.
Very nice, boring attire.
Yeah, so navy, like white button-down shirt.
We're putting up pictures of this.
Yes, navy, like zip-up dad jacket.
Polo shirts.
Yeah, navy pants, like orthopedic type black shoes.
And the nylon stockings. Ooh la la.
That is weird for me because I just remember when I was growing up in China, going back to China, my grandpa, like all the guys would wear those with sandals in the summer.
Well, you know what it says about a man's fashion?
What?
In the context of it being Communist Party officials, it's party up at top, party down below. Party everywhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Very good. So
party underneath.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of when was the last time it became popular to dress like the leader of China, and what else was going on?
Are you talking about Mao suits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Cultural Revolution, right?
Yeah.
Was like everyone started dressing in those
This doesn't
green
quite
outfits.
have that feel, though. Because,
No.
isn't a big part of it, like, some people like are doing it ironically.
Yeah, so part of it is kind of like making a little tongue in cheek, like making fun of it a little bit. And then part of it's kind of like normcore, essentially.
No, it's normcore.
Do you remember this?
It's about Norm Macdonald, right?
Kind of. Like, he definitely dressed normcore. Norm Macdonald. Yeah. But also Jerry Seinfeld was very normcore. Like, it's that kind of, maybe like back in 2013 or 2014, it was a fashion trend that millennials were dressing like Midwestern moms and dads, kind of. So it was just like the most boring, plain stuff, like Keds or, dad jeans or mom jeans, kind of what Obama wore to like throw out the baseball. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like chunky sneakers.
Yeah.
Like basically what Jerry Seinfeld wore on every episode of Seinfeld.
Okay.
Like that kind of look. And it was supposed to be kind of ironic, but kind of celebrating just like the boringness and like normal attire. Yeah.
Very strange. But I guess also a part of what's happening in China is a lot of people just, since the economy is so bad, especially for young people, youth unemployment is like 19%. They just want to like fit in as much as possible, get some cushy government job.
That is the funny thing, that there was in the New York Times article about this, it said that 2 million people sat for the government service exam last year, which is it's just a record.
Yeah.
Because mostly people, what you wanted to do is get into like the tech industry or these kind of up and coming creative white collar jobs, but because there have been so many layoffs.
And also massive crackdown on the tech industry.
Yeah, huge crackdown on the tech industry. So now it's kind of like, well, the government job is safe and boring, but it's safe.
That's true. But you know what it means if you are dressing like a party official all the time. Well, you take care of your dirty laundry, right?
Okay.
But if you're dressing like a party official, you don't have dirty laundry. You have dirty reds. All of this was a setup for this one moment. I have been waiting over an hour.
When did you think of that?
Like an hour ago.
So like long before we started recording, you've been planning this.
Oh, yeah. I have. These podcasts are like grand strategies for me. I have everything planned out 85 steps ahead of all of you.
That reminds me
all of you.
I was looking at old episodes because we had Jingmen was in the news recently, the island that Taiwan owns that's like 8 miles off the coast of China or something. It's very close. And we had done a episode there back in I think we published it in January of 2019, where we went and interviewed people who had been there when the communists were bombing the island, essentially, and all talked about the history of the Taiwan Straits crises and things like that. And there was this old-timey news footage that called that we're talking about the Reds or something like that.
The Dirty Reds are invading Quemoy.
Yeah, and so you started imitating that, and there's just like a bit in that video where you start talking like that, and I'm just like, no, Chris, we're not doing that.
And so little has changed in all these years.
I had forgotten about that, and it's,
back.
It's totally different. You have a beard now.
That's true. You didn't have a beard.
Point. Yeah, I forget that it's, well, actually, that's not that new at this point. That was 2019 was a long time ago already.
Yes. It's almost 4 years ago since we were there.
Wow.
Because we actually went there in the fall of 2018.
Well, it's amazing to see the difference in the situation with Taiwan in that time. Actually, also the difference in Hong Kong in that time. Because we also made a stop in Hong Kong on that trip, didn't we?
Maybe.
Kind of, but just like passing through.
Oh.
Yeah. We were in Hong Kong for like a week in 2016. And then we had interviewed, I remember, the director of the short film series 10 Years, which was like, what Hong Kong is going to be like in 10 years. And it was 5 short films that all predicted this like sort of dark communist future for Hong Kong 10 years from when it was published. So that would have been 2025. But, you know, the Communist Party was very efficient. So they
did it in less than 5.
They did it in less than 5. And that's why I remember the timing of that trip. It was a very boring time for Hong Kong and a somewhat uneventful time for Taiwan as well. but it's definitely gotten
Yeah.
those tensions have really ratcheted up.
We interviewed Joshua Wong, and he was like interning at a legislative office. That was before he went to prison.
It's kind of amazing over the years how many people we've gotten to know who are like now in jail or in exile or have been assassinated.
Yeah, it's really...
That's something that, like, I feel like most people don't usually have in their lives, meeting people. And then you hear, like, oh, this person is in jail. Oh, this person was assassinated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially if they're in jail for political reasons. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, anyway, this took a kind of a dark turn. We were talking about something that was a bit more upbeat.
Well, maybe.